She put him out. She put him out by her actions, by her choices, by her decisions. She put him out like the burning end of a midnight cigarette. She broke his heart. He spent his whole life trying to forget. We watched him drink his pain away a little at a time, but he never could get drunk enough to keep her off his mind until the day, until the night, until the moment that things went too far. This song, Whiskey Lullaby, is something that came into my life years ago. I remember watching it and feeling particularly poignant about the journey that they were on, understanding that it was a soulmated journey fraught with pain. And we watched them go through their cycles throughout their lives, always just missing each other on this roller coaster, on this merry-go-round. And in the end, they put this tow-headed little girl there, blonde and blue, all American. They wanted us to feel better because what they just took us through is a soulmate's journey with all of its treachery and betrayal and dishonesty and miscommunications and enlightenment because you signed up to do something with someone. And sometimes you have to put that out. There's this little girl standing there at the end, and as little kids do, she can see behind the veil. So while everybody else is watching a funeral and watching finally his counterpart be buried because she finally put herself out, she put herself out because the rumors flew. And nobody knew how much she blamed herself. For years and years, she tried to hide the whiskey on her breath, and she finally drank her pain away a little at a time, but she never could get drunk enough to get him off her mind. Why do we do this to each other? We have these stories we tell about divine feminine and divine masculine and soulmates and twin flames, and what I'm seeing is that it's a lot of pain. And I know that there must be a good side to it. And when I'm determined to find something, I find it. And when I'm determined to believe in a fairy tale, I believe in it. I believe in it so totally and so completely that it unravels me. And I have just been that delusional person that believes in a fairy tale. I was getting ready to go to bed. I come here to you, eyes cried out, lashes half on, don't judge, my bonnet askew, because I was in the midst of doing this. I was listening to something before I got ready and I got these downloads. And my angel said, turn on the camera, get out there, and throw some lipstick on and shuck and jive because there's some work you have to do. There's some work that somebody needs to hear. What I just read you were the lyrics to Whiskey Lullaby, a song written by Brad Paisley and Alison Krauss. Alison Krauss, a famous blues and bluegrass singer, rather, I should say, and folk singer, and Brad Paisley from country music. I'm a huge fan of country music in the weirdest way, always have been since I was a kid. Love Garth. Who comes to mind now? And I'm glad I didn't know the way it all would end, the way it all would go. Our lives are better left to chance. I could have missed the pain, but I would have had to miss the dance. Sometimes we love that way, and I have been trying to be professional, and I have been trying to be of service, and my angel said, stop filtering this, because there's somebody out there that feels the same way that you do. I have made sure that people take a look at my videos before I post them. Not all the time, but sometimes, and have had friends weigh in on that, and they said you're filtering the process. We didn't ask you to do that. We asked you to be a conduit for this moment. We asked you to be a conduit to this pain. We asked you to carry forth the message that there is healing, but that this is also part of the process. If our lives are better left to chance, if our lives are better left to chance, why do we dance at all? Why do we choose partners? Why do we choose to walk down this road with somebody with us moving into this? Why do we think that we need somebody? And what I got through this was watching that little girl look at them as they rejoined in the next lifetime. That was what this film is depicting, or this video, this music video is depicting, is that they finally got their happy ending, but they got it in the next life. And so I'm going to offer what I feel like the message is tonight, which is put him out. If you are in this life thinking that it must be struggle and pain, that it must be fraught with anxiety, that you don't deserve to be loved, my divine feminines, I have to tell you, you're wrong. I come to you here with faith the size of a mustard seed, believing that I will indeed move mountains to find a love for me that is right. A companionship, a partnership, and energy that is right. I spent a lot of time invested into an incredibly toxic and abusive situation that I didn't realize was so until the last couple years. But man, when you start to see something, you can't unsee it. And I was listening to this song in my head, really. They were playing it for me tonight, and they said, let's talk about this. And I was like, what's there to talk about? It's this idealized, brutal soulmate relationship where they never gave each other happiness, but for a split second. And they spent the rest of their life. One of these lashes may come off here, y'all. Y'all about to see the real total me. They spent their whole life brutalizing each other, and we're supposed to just smile at the end because a young child sees them coming together in the spirit world. That's not good enough. And divine feminine, if you're watching, divine masculine, if you're cross watching, karmic partner, if you're here, find your real love. We all get cooked up. We all get in this melu, this soup, this jambalaya, this pepper pot. We get into this thing where we think that it has to be all mixed up and that there isn't a connection that we can have one-to-one without it being fraught with pain. And what I want to tell you is that comes from our childhood wounding. It comes from traumas. It comes from parents that weren't fully healed and integrated. It comes from pathology of our family. It comes from ancestral curses. It comes from sins of the father. It comes from our own energy, our own shadow, our own self. We are imperfect human beings trying to connect these wounds, trying to connect these synapses, trying to connect these frayed ends together. But if you do your work and push through moments like this raw, uncomfortable, vulnerable moment where I was being downloaded with so much information, and that sounds real noble, but the information was filled with shame. I'm ashamed of myself for allowing myself to be in the situation I was in that was completely loveless. I am ashamed that it was as long as it was. I am ashamed that I am a healer and a teacher who is damn good at my job, but I didn't love myself enough to stop it long ago. And I am ashamed because I have cut out other people and ended other toxic relationships and situationships and done it in a very healthy manner. And somehow this one got under the radar, guys. Do you ever have something get under the radar? Do you ever have something catch you off guard? Pardon me. And then you realize and you think, oh, this is what I was doing. I was betraying myself, and I don't want to be too hard on myself, because I don't want you to be too hard on yourself. But I needed that release. I've been doing a lot of work with Archangel Raphael, who really made himself known to me. I had a client who called in with the same name, and the way he said his name, it was very kind of regional. It was a very kind of like Jersey, and he was like, Raphael. And I knew that Raphael was trying to get a message to me. Oh, excuse me, guys. Yeah, we're getting close tonight. I knew that Raphael was trying to get a message to me, and ever since then, we've been happily working together. I even, and we'll be making a video about this, but I got myself a new bowl. If you saw my Marie Kondo Your Life, my sacral chakra bowl was broken by a friendly visitor in my home who was invisible, and I don't think it was coincidental. It happened at a time when I was just feeling demolished because of a circumstance, and my self-esteem truly had taken a hit. And the way that my life works and the metaphysical work that I do, things that happen in the 5D happen for me in the 3D. So I get a lot of signs and messages that are very physical, very tangible, very real. Sorry guys. I want you to understand that there is a way forward, and I am not coming to you at the top of Mount Rushmore. I have not achieved, or Mount Everest, the greatest heights of clarity and pure knowing, but there is a determination in my soul and in my very being to center and ground myself, and to say of the universe, I expect your abundance. I think back to a scripture in the Bible: God will restore the years that the locusts have eaten. A refund is due unto me. You know, it's interesting that that scripture comes up to me as we are in a pandemic, and when we talk about locusts, that was a plague, and that's what this relationship feels like it was to me, was a plague. And that's not to be attacking. That's not anything. Here I am, ever the empath, worried about somebody else's feelings, who was never, ever worried about mine. Divine Feminine, can you relate? Do you know the journey of loving a person who is not pouring back into you? And it almost unraveled me. Well, it did unravel me, guys. Uh, I am being allowed to deal with it in a compartmentalized way because my angels are gracious. They gave me plenty of heads up. Usually they give me a year for stuff. They gave me 2 for this one. I will make a video and I will talk about all of the gory details just as soon as I can do it without being beside myself. But here's the thing, not every moment of my life since this has happened has been me being beside myself. A lot of it is a righteous indignation. A lot of it's relief. That's an interesting feeling for me. I never thought that I wouldn't want to carry the thing I was carrying, the relationship. I carried it. Signed, sealed, and delivered. I did it all myself about 98% of the time. There were times where this person fed back into me. There were times when they said nice words to me, but it was the definition of breadcrumbs. This person, I don't want to focus on that, but I want to tell you the story of a purple couch. They wanted a couch. They wanted a settee, a love seat, and I had a thing about furnishing one of the rooms in their home. Every time I went to their house, I took something, a piece of furniture to fill it up, a chandelier, fake chandelier, wall hangings, all that little cute stuff. No chandelier. Wall hangings and tapestries. Excuse me, that was something we had talked about, was a chandelier. Sorry, don't want to lie. And every time I went, it was my way of saying, like, let's make this space special and whatever, because that's my Leo energy. We make things better, and that's my Girl Scout energy. Leave it better than when you found it. Like, that's just who I am, my genuine heart. Well, this person had mentioned to me that they wanted this thing maybe a year and a half ago. So I waited till their birthday. I waited a whole year, and I sent it to them. And normally, we had a ritual of like communicating when gifts arrived, and maybe not FaceTiming, but definitely at least being on the phone to discuss, like, oh, what'd you get? And great care was taken. And she called me several days after it was delivered and said to me, did you send me a futon? and couldn't have been less interested. And I was like, yeah. And I was so naively excited. This person was my best friend. Yeah, my best friend. That's an interesting dynamic. I bet a lot of you guys are confused as you watch. Why so much emotion for just someone that was your best friend? Well, this is someone that was a soulmate as well. We've had many lifetimes together, but this one, yeah, I'm not wanting another one. I've always been about like, we'll see each other again and we're going to meet up. I don't want to meet up again. I've never felt that before. I've never felt so clear about being finished with something ever in my life. I am a Leo sun and a Taurus moon, both fixed signs, which means that I hold on to relationships and energies and people for long after they've served their purpose or long after they've meant me well. And in this case, this best friend shapeshifted from a best friend to a soulmate to a frenemy to an enemy to a Decepticon. I'm still reeling from it. I don't know how to process all of the layers of treachery. But what I will say is the futon, the couch, a few days afterwards, really nonchalant. I ended up having to go to her house for a medical procedure a couple of months later after I sent it. It was still in the box. And I told her on the first day, let's get your son. Let's let him help us take it out. Let's put this together as a family, because that's what I'd always tried to foster with this friendship and with this energy, is a family. Let's do that. Let's put it together like a family. And that didn't happen. Okay, that's fine. I went through one of the most intensely dark and isolating weeks of my life. I was doing a lot of spiritual work. I was realizing karmic connections that we had. I was realizing who she was. For me, that childhood wound that I spoke about, she was my narcissistic, mentally ill father. I can't say if she is any of those things. I am no doctor, but I can tell you the behavior was awfully similar. Um, she was a lot of things, and that's really raw, guys. But I felt like it's important to share that, because I think that for somebody that may come across this video, you will understand that you may have loved someone that reminded you of a parent that wasn't well, or that didn't treat you well, or that taught you how to accept behavior. For us in this moment, as I am saying, let's assemble this couch, let's do this as a family, she just refused me. And I didn't have the energy. I was using all of my resources to stay grounded. I was throwing up all the time. I was crying the whole time, because there were things that were happening where she was lying right to my face. I remember once her lying right to my face, and I got up so quickly and ran into the room. And the next morning, because she knew, you know, she knew that she lied. She said, "Oh my God, I thought I did something else." Like, was trying to make it like I was just holding her to so much account, which is just not ever anything that really happened. But maybe 3 times in our friendship, in our relationship, in our situationship, um, violently throwing up because I couldn't contain the blasphemous, ugly energy of her lies. So I didn't have energy to put together a couch that week because I was surviving. I was dealing with animal totems and omens and crossed over parents. Both of our parents came through. Both of our parents came through. Her person, her crossed over parent came and sat on the couch next to her. I've never seen her before. She's come through before. I've channeled her person before, her mother. But this time, I saw her and she said something to me, and I never did get a chance to tell my friend, because I realized that it wasn't a warning for my friend, it was a warning for me. Wow. She said, "This is my daughter. She is the most like me of all of my daughters. Now watch her work." you'll get to meet her. And she said, and then you will know me. I didn't understand, and my friend not long after said to me, you're not long for this world. She'd had a few drinks. We both have our way of escaping. My vice is different than hers. Mine is comfort things and foods and sweets. If you couldn't tell, we empaths escape sometimes. It's not healthy, but that's why I say put this out. Because that happened at 20 minutes and 22 seconds. Put this out. I can't just comfort myself into oblivion because I'm in a loveless relationship with a person who's not willing to have any reciprocity, carry their weight, or do their work. When she said to me, you're not long for this world, I thought I was going to die. I was up there for a medical procedure. Her mother, who has crossed over, excuse me, guys, was sitting on the couch next to her. And again, her mother had come through to me before, but in dreams. And I'd never really gotten a good look at her, but I saw her dishwater blonde hair, cigarette hanging out of her mouth. Interesting. And my friend, they're telling me, my friend who has her own gifts and is very gifted when she's in a higher vibration, but she seems to love the lower vibration. I never understood it. But after I met her mom, I did. So I am thinking the world is ending, quite literally, and that my world may end. And my friend wasn't wrong. I wasn't long for that world because I put it out. I'm destined for a stratosphere. I'm destined to be out of that atmosphere. I can no longer dwell in that energy. I can no longer stay stagnant and hold myself back, waiting for some miraculous connection to take place for her to realize who I am in her life and why I matter and why I deserve to be treated well, because it wasn't something that I was realizing for myself. It was something that I was just hoping would happen, and it was never going to happen with her, not ever. So by the end of the week, after my father had shown up to say, do you know who I am now? My angel showed up to say, this is your father's behavior, which I never put together in all the years we were friends. I never realized it. And this is your father's behavior, and you have loved this person and clung onto this person and thought you couldn't be without this person because in your own way you were trying to heal and or be with your father who has crossed over. Both of our parents crossed over around the same time in our lives. Teenage wounds left gaping, left us stunted in our growth, left us trying to formulate how to love when we were completely broken. I met her when I was a child, essentially, and we stayed in that infantile state, but somehow I grew up, and I can't stay there anymore. I put it out. I deserve better, and I will have better, but I had to realize that putting a couch together by myself does not a relationship make. The last day that I was there, as I was packing, I got up that morning because one of our overlapping connections is that I believe it was a parent to her in a past life, and I felt quite responsible for her in this one. And I wanted to surprise her like a parent does on Christmas, you know. I grew up with my mom who would put the gifts together. You wake up in the morning, Santa came, and the gifts were together. And I got up and I started packing up my stuff, waiting for my ride to come and get me. And I drug this really heavy couch out of a box by myself. Something I shouldn't be doing, something that it wasn't healthy to do, but I wanted to love her. That was all I ever wanted to do, was to love her. And so I got it out, and I couldn't put it together by myself because who can? You really do need at least two people. But I set it up as best I could and jankily connected the arms not well. And before I left, she went into the room and she sat down like a kid. And I'll never forget that look on her face. And she sat there because it was on the ground because I couldn't put the legs on by myself. So it wasn't even up. And she sat on it. And she was like, "Oh my gosh, you did this. You put this together. When did you do this?" And I was always trying to do things like that because I thought that's what love is. You just give, you do, you do. And I was like, "Oh, I just wanted you to be surprised." And she was like, "Yeah, but you didn't put it all the way together." And I was like, "Yeah, I couldn't. You need two people." And she was like, "Oh, you did that on purpose so that I would have to do some work." And I thought, "Yeah, you need two people. It's a love seat. It's built for two people. It's not for one person to hold up by themselves." I'm not that strong. I know that I counsel people. I know the work that I do. I love the work that I do. Do not be dismayed. Folks that see me do readings and wonder, what a basket case. We all are basket cases. This is a part of who we are, and I'm just having to deal with the shadow of it. When she said to me, "You wanted me to do work too," I thought, Jesus Christ, yeah. This whole time, I've been waiting for you to do anything. I've been waiting for you not to rob me of the thing that I pride more than anything as a Gemini rising, which is clear communication. I've been waiting for you to share real emotion. I've been waiting for you to connect. I've been waiting for you not to breadcrumb me. I've been waiting for you to be honest. I've been waiting for you to tell the truth. I can't do it all by myself. I can't counsel you and save you and help you and edify you and love you because who's loving me? I wasn't even saving any room for me to love me. So I put it out like the burning end of a midnight cigarette. I realized that that couch was a metaphor for our relationship. It was always going to be me thinking 7 steps ahead of her, loving her enough to make sure everything was done and that she could enjoy it, only for her to come in and say, "But it's not enough. You want me to do some work too?" Yeah. And so what I realized is that the promise of a soulmate is a nice thing, but what people don't realize is it comes with all of this confusion and overlapping feelings and lack of clarity. And I'm doing readings for people and I'm watching readings being done, and we're all asking the question, when is my divine feminine or masculine going to recognize me as their divine counterpart? When do I get to reap the benefits? Why am I watching them go into other directions? And here's the thing I want you to know. Excuse me, guys. This is so real. Today, here's what I want you to know. As I use like a whole roll of toilet paper, which is a precious commodity right now, here's what I want you guys to know. Put it out. Put it out if you're fearful that you're not going to get anything. Put it out because you're fearful you're not going to get anything else. Of course you are. There is always another opportunity. I don't have that prospect in front of me. That's not this kind of relationship. I'm never going to be that age again. I'm never going to be able to refortify or build that. I don't know if I even trust that anybody is capable of that kind of love. I've still got some healing to do, clearly. But I realized that I was never going to even find out about the possibility and if it exists if I did not do the healing that I needed to do by putting it out. It's done. I pulled some cards before I started to get some clarity about what they wanted me to say, but I think you see what they want. Observe a thing I was doing in the relationship, a thing that this person will now do from a distance. I will no longer be there to be of service. It is a 3 card. Ascended Masters. At 12, adds up to 3. Ascended Masters coming in. I am insulated, I am protected, and I am divinely downloaded. Do you see that divine rainbow coming from the top of her head? Do you see that? Observe. It's my time. For divine feminines that are watching that don't feel like you've taken your time, it's your time. It's time to put it out so that you can have the opportunity to make some of your dreams come true. Listen to your heart. You've heard that it's time to go. What's at the top there? It's a 2, because couplehood, coupledom, the idea of that is something you hold so dear, divine feminine. It's why you incarnated. But you can't have it if you're in a toxic situation. Put it out. detach. I think that one's self-explanatory. Seek guidance from your angels and ancestors. They are there and they want to help, and they will help. Understand that love abounds and they will bring you into a place where you know that. A 1 card. This is about you. And then finally, you can share the love in your giftings, in your wisdom, with your spirituality. 3 ascended masters, but you have to heal. I have some beautiful divine feminine cards, and the first one that came out was Sappho the poetess. I love every inch of my body, and I love the women in my life fiercely. I did love that woman fiercely. I regret nothing about loving her, only that I wasn't stronger, better, faster, sooner. Truly. I am my own guru. I know the self never changes. Divine feminine, become your own guru. I am my own guru. I don't outsource as much as I used to. I am my own guru, and I advise the same for you. And finally, let's leave with the ferocity, the braveness of Joan of Arc. I have steel-like faith in myself. The angels armor me with conviction. I, like Maya says, still like dust I rise, like a phoenix from the ashes I rise. Maya doesn't say the part about the phoenix, but she says still like dust I rise in her poem. I rise. You rise, divine feminine. We will rise together. We will talk about some of these things, as painful as they are, as embarrassing as it may be, as much as I may not ever post this video, or if I do, I may take it down. What I want you to know is this is part of the journey. This is a part of the journey to steeling yourself to strength. You deserve to be loved. You deserve to be communicated with. You deserve not to be wondering about this. None of these tears are about who I feel like I may have, one of the questions that I get a lot is like, well, what are they doing with this other person? And I don't care. For the first time in my life, I'm like, thank God. This was a blessing in disguise, even though I didn't understand it and it was very painful. I'm like, great. You two nightmares be a nightmare. You two guys freaking be Nightmare on Elm Street. I have served my time and I have done well. And there's a thing in The Color Purple, when someone has done you wrong at the end, Celie says to Mr. who's treated her atrociously. She holds up her 3 fingers with her right hand and she says, nothing good will come to you until you do right by me. And it's something that's talked about in the Black community, where this movie is very, seen, and it's kind of like a staple of our childhood. So if you're outside of that community and you've seen it, you know. That hand, that stare, it's not a curse. It is the call of karma. It is saying,